My fiancée allowed us to have an open relationship due to her asexuality. I think I love the girl I've been sleeping with. Plus update, part 1. My fiancée, Emma, and I have known each other for the better part of 10 years. We've been in a relationship for 4 years and engaged for 1. Emma said she was sure she was asexual about 2 years into our relationship. We had only made love a few times, and every time we did, it just seemed like she wasn't into it. I wasn't that shocked, I guess. I loved her for her, not for the lovemaking, so it wasn't that big of a deal to me. A few weeks after my proposal, she mentioned an open relationship. She stated she didn't care if I was physically involved with another woman as long as no feelings were involved. There weren't supposed to be any dates, we always used protection, and if I even thought one of us had started to like one another, I was to call it off immediately. We spent a few weeks agreeing on the ground rules. I wasn't really eager, but I also wasn't repulsed. Emma is the only woman I've ever been with, but I did have times when I really did want to make love, and we just couldn't. So I downloaded a few dating apps. She didn't want to know about anyone I matched with, she only wanted to know if I had come across someone to actually sleep with. I did, Ren. I told her name and age, and that's really all she wanted to know. Ren is stunning. She's curvy and extremely attractive. I was surprised when we matched. We talked a bit through the app. I was totally upfront about being in an open relationship, and she said it was fine since she wasn't looking for anything serious. We exchanged numbers, and it went from there. I'll cut to the chase. Ren and I have been sleeping together for 8 months now. It went from a very physical relationship to a very emotionally involved one. We've made love well over a few dozen times now. It just got really out of hand. Over time, we've discovered that we have a lot in common. It just feels different. She's completely different from Emma. She's very verbal about what she wants and needs. She's affectionate in every way, and she's always complimenting me. I don't get that from Emma. I didn't realize how strained I felt in our relationship. Now I feel stuck. My dynamic with Ren is completely different. My birthday was a month ago, and while Emma was out of town for it, I went to Ren's. She called me at midnight, wishing me a happy birthday, while Emma called around 2 p.m. When I went over to Ren's, she had also gotten me a present, JJK manga volumes, and made dinner. I'll admit I cried. We, of course, made love that night, and it was a lot more passionate than usual. She asked if Emma was okay with me being over on my birthday, and I told her Emma knew as she was out of town and was fine with it. Emma didn't know, and I feel like shit for lying to both of them. I don't know if I want to go through with my engagement to Emma anymore. I have very strong feelings for Ren, but I don't know if it's the intimacy clouding my judgment or not. I don't want to lose Emma, but I also don't want to lose Ren. My relationship with Emma has begun to feel more like a roommate situation. I don't know how to go about this. Update. It's been a pretty rough few days. I realized this situation wasn't healthy for anyone involved and pretty much addressed it with Ren and Emma separately. I talked to Ren first and told her it would be best to at least put the relationship on pause for the time being. She was upset and began to cry. We both acknowledged that the relationship had become much more than lovemaking on both ends. She said she wanted to talk to me about it a few weeks ago but wasn't sure how to approach the subject. I told her I was going to talk to Emma and tell her what was going on, and the engagement would likely be called off. This upset her even more, and she kept saying she felt ashamed. I tried to reassure her that my relationship with Emma was 100% my responsibility, but she didn't seem to trust what I was saying. Before I left her house, she said she didn't think she'd feel comfortable if we continued the relationship in any way, whether it was romantic or platonic, even if it was a year down the road. She said she does care for me, but she doesn't think she'd be able to pursue a further relationship without feeling like a homewrecker. We haven't spoken since, and it feels really weird. Emma and I also had a serious discussion. I told her how far gone I had gotten into my relationship with Ren. She said she felt like I ended my relationship with Ren too late. She asked if I wanted to work out our relationship, but I just couldn't. Emma and I have never really had an affectionate and passionate relationship. I think that's why being with Ren felt so exciting. Emma was never too big on physical affection, and we rarely expressed our love to one another. Like I said in the previous post, we felt like roommates. We both just got stuck in the comfort of our relationship. She was my first and only real relationship. We both seemed satisfied, and we just stuck with it because we felt familiar and safe. I did tell Emma that the main problem was a lack of an emotional connection. I cried when Ren got me a birthday present because it was just thoughtful. My birthdays were never really celebrated as a kid, and they never held much importance to me until recently. Birthday wishes, presents, or celebrations were always just generic. Ren and I had bonded over anime. She's the one who got me into it. We talked about how much we liked JJK, and it was just an overwhelming thing to get. Growing up, lots of people talked about their birthdays with excitement. I felt like a kid getting a pony for their 5th birthday. Emma and I have never really gone out of our way to celebrate each other's birthdays. They were never that important to me, and Emma understood that. We have decided to call off the engagement. But we have to approach it very delicately. Her parents don't believe in being asexual. It also doesn't help that Emma has been on the wall about having kids. Her mother was in her ear after our engagement announcement telling her that she would need to step up and fill her role as a woman and let all that asexual crap go. Unfortunately, it did get to Emma, and she said that's why she started to look into an open relationship. I didn't know this until we sat down and talked. Of course I feel like shite. We're not sure how to approach it. Emma says no matter why we call off the engagement, her parents will likely make it about her sensuality. I didn't know they were so horrible about it. I've only met them a handful of times. I knew she had a strained relationship with them, but she preferred not to talk about them and I didn't push. Although we have agreed to separate, we think it'll be best for us to both attend counseling. Both together and individually.
This is why one of the advice men give other men is try your best to gain some experience in life. Men should thrive off of logic, and to gain that logic, they need more experience. He's foolish. I mean, kind of idiotic. Get into a relationship with a woman that was asexual, right? I mean, she was only into, I guess I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, but just not sexually attracted or into any other person. So it's like that's men. I don't know. I think in general, most men, they need sex. It's keep them sane, right? So, and him saying, "Oh, I only love her because of her personality, so sex wasn't a big deal," was idiotic. That was stupid. I'm not saying that men need to have sex every single day, but you thinking sex once a month, once every other month is enough is idiotic, and it's delusion on his part, thinking that he could withstand it. I think she should have just been by herself and just have friends. That's it. You could have emotional connections with friends. You don't need a partner. So that was idiotic on her part, but I blame him because he was foolish enough and just not wise enough to know that open relationships don't work, especially when you weren't an open relationship kind of person before you got into, the relationship. And being in a relationship with someone who describes himself as asexual is idiotic. I mean, he could have just, if he liked her for her personality and only her personality, then he could have just been friends with her. Again, I'm not trying to say that, oh, she's only useful for sex, but women very downplay men's need to have sex, which is, it regulates men's emotions, right? Their testosterones, their hormones, stuff like that. It regulates their sanity. There's such thing as a post-nut clarity, or just it relaxes men. So there's many things about sex. I mean, sex is very integral to men. I mean, I would say most men to maybe all men. So it was idiotic for him to do that. And you can see towards the end of the story, his inexperience showing a lot where he ignored a lot of red flags. He said that, she's never been intimate with him anyway. She's never really been affectionate with him anyway. So he assumed that was fine. And it was his first relationship. So again, it was something that it was familiar. It was just easier. For men, they would go for the easier thing than, go through the hard shit. But that's the thing where I will always recommend men to gain as much experience, life experience as possible with many different areas, especially when it comes to women. If your goal is to be, with a woman, have a family, it is best to gain some experience, where you learn what red flags to look out for, and to understand what you should and shouldn't allow. Men, and I think experience will make men less clouded by emotions, to be more logical. And I believe for men, for anyone, right, being more logical is more sound, and it's the best foot forward for your life. And it shows that, he didn't see that she had very psychological trauma and issue, and so does he, right? And with him saying how he felt with his birthdays, he didn't know that he actually wanted someone to care, but no one ever did, so he chalked it up to just, that's how it should be. And I understand that. I'm exactly the same way, right? Where it would be nice for someone to actually care, but no one ever does, so whatever. But I know that took me years of self-reflection, where I would love someone to actually be more thoughtful and caring, and actually show them that they notice me, right? And I believe a lot of men want that, and that he was foolish in thinking that it was fine. But no, men, they feel so unappreciated, so unloved, so they don't understand that men need that. Men need to feel appreciated. Men need attention too. You think only women need attention? No, men need it too, and men need to feel love as well. So it is good for men to just gain more life experience, so they can improve themselves, and that's part of being the best version of yourself as you can be.